that sound familiar, Dr. Tuttle? That's actually
Yes,
Dr.
does.
Tuttle playing the piano.
Oh, wow.
From the CD that I purchased last night.
That's so nice.
It's so beautiful. I was in tears when he played at the end of the program. Music really moves me. Like thinking about just how you did the introduction and then the end, I was very moved by the music, as I am many times. I absolutely love music. I can't imagine our world without it. But everyone, thank you for listening. Welcome back to One Life Radio. This is Bernadette with Diamond Gray, Daniel Tague, and our very special guest today, Dr. Will Tuttle. He is a Ph.D. and he is a visionary speaker, educator, author, and musician, a former Zen monk with a Ph.D. from UC Berkley and a vegan since 1980. His writings, music, and presentations focus on compassion, creativity, intuition, and the intersection of social justice, animal liberation, and environmental health, spiritual, and peace issues. He is the editor of Circles of Compassion, author of Your Inner Islands, and the recipient of the Courage of Consciousness Award and the Empty Cages Award. Dr. Tuttle provides lecture presentations, workshops, and training internationally on the World Peace Diet, veganism, effective activism, meditation, and intuition development. You can find him at worldpeacediet.com. That's worldpeacediet.com. Okay, we're going to be talking about this diet. It's such a pleasure to have you in studio. What your work is so important to the world. It really is. You guys out there listening, you don't even know how important this is. And I encourage you to listen to Dr. Tuttle because he is a very wonderful, kind soul who really has the vision to just help heal the world. Is that pretty accurate?
Thank you, Bernadette. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. It's great to be here.
Yeah,
thanks.
It's so great to have you here. I feel like National Public Radio right now. So great. Right. But it really is so great to have you in studio. So let me begin by telling our listeners how outstanding this documentary is that I viewed last night, A Prayer for Compassion. It's absolutely outstanding. And as John Mackey, CEO of Whole Foods, Inc., wrote as a testimony of your book, The World Peace Diet, okay, I am grateful for this powerful and cogent book. It has stretched my thinking and heart about animals, compassion, and our society, and will probably be catalytic in the furthering of my personal growth. And, the thing that surprised me the most about the documentary, Dr. Tuttle, is that because I had no idea really what it was going to be about other than animals, that's the thing that really surprised me, the connection between our spirituality and how we treat animals. Can we talk about that for a few minutes? And I have to ask the question, would Jesus eat meat today?
Well, thank you, Bernadette. I think the topic of animal compassion and our health and our spiritual health, our psychological health, our cultural health, our environmental health are all profoundly interconnected, and we ignore these interconnections at our peril, and we unfortunately are ignoring them today. And I think that that great being Jesus would definitely not be eating animal foods today, because in order to do that, we have to essentially shut our hearts down and look at other beings as mere commodities that we use. And it's completely unnecessary. As you said, I haven't eaten any animal foods at all in 39 years.
Wow.
And I didn't do it for my own health. It's like Isaac Bashevis Singer said when someone asked him, "So, are you a vegetarian for the health of the chickens? Excuse me, for your health?" And he said, "Yes, I'm a vegetarian for the health of the chickens, actually."
Yeah.
So for me, it was the same thing. Back when I was in my 20s, I learned a little bit about the consequences of animal agriculture and how the whole system of confining and mutilating and impregnating on these rape racks, all these animals, cows, pigs, chickens, and other animals for food is utterly unnecessary, that it takes enormous quantities of land and water and petroleum. It creates foods that really are high in saturated fat, cholesterol, acidifying and inflammatory animal protein, and enormous amounts of sewage. It's very toxic, as well as methane and nitrous oxide, which are devastating to our ecosystems. So it's really the worst thing we're doing. We're cutting down rainforest at an acre per second. And
Really?
we're just to grow soybeans to feed to these imprisoned cows and pigs and chickens, and factory farmed fishes eat a lot of soybeans. So I think anyone who has any inkling or yearning to awaken spiritually or just to not contribute to the destruction of the earth that we are leaving to our children, would have to question this massive violence towards ecosystems. And also when we see what it actually does to our physical health, eating these foods is not good. We see the pharmaceutical medical complex just exploding as people eat these foods and go to the hospital because they have heart disease or liver disease, kidney disease, breast, prostate, and colon cancer, and the autoimmune diseases and osteoporosis and obesity and diabetes that are all really driven by diets that are high in animal-based foods.
Right.
So it's just a fantastic thing. I mean, really, it's really good news. The gospel of good news is that the more kind and compassionate we are, the more caring we are, the healthier we'll be, the healthier the world will be, the more we'll have plenty of food to feed hungry people. And there's nothing stopping anyone, really, from questioning this and moving toward a more sustainable and much more healthful plant-based way of eating.
Yeah, it's this book again. I can't stop reading it. It's so good. One of the chapters that really moved me is chapter 7, the domination of the feminine. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about what is the sacred feminine?
Right. Well, in the World Peace Diet, I use the word Sophia. Sophia, some of us know, is the goddess of wisdom. It means wisdom in the ancient Greek language. And this is, I think, the sacred feminine that's in all of us, whether we're men or women, this inner wisdom that naturally yearns to love and protect life, protect our families, and to especially protect the children. When a little baby is born, then it's that Sophia wisdom that kicks in the mother, and even though this little baby is in a lot of trouble, objectively, she just does whatever she can to protect this life. And yet animal agriculture is about breaking the bond between the mother and her offspring. That's the core of animal agriculture. On any animal agriculture operation, large or small, it's always the same thing. I own you, I own your baby. When you give birth to a baby, the mother cow or pig or chicken thinks that's her baby. It's never her baby. The baby's always stolen and killed, and then she's impregnated again on what the industry refers to as a rape rack. So there's this violence chronically, millions of times every day in the United States. We do this, and we don't just cause this suffering to these animals. We turn around and then we eat it. And so it really represses Sophia in all of us. And I think when that happens, it's really hard for us to be wise. This word Sophia means wisdom in the way we're living on the earth, and we spend millions of not only dollars but our resources building bombs, destroying our ecosystems, and not really acting wisely and caring for our health, for our children, for the ecosystems that we depend on. So I think the good news is that more and more people like you, Bernadette, are beginning to wake up and start the healing process. And I think that's really what it's about. It's about awakening to our natural wisdom, compassion, and caring, and looking at other beings not as just commodities that we buy and sell by the pound, but anyone who has a companion animal like a dog or a cat. When you look into their eyes, there's someone in there that has interests, that their interests are as important to them as our interests are to us. And if we just completely ignore that fact and just mutilate them and hyper-confine them, drive them into insanity, and then cut them up and kill them and eat them, we're not only causing enormous suffering to them, according to all the world religious teachings, especially the Christian tradition as well, as you sow, so shall you reap. How can we expect to have peace and harmony and health for ourselves when we're sowing the seeds of misery, violence, oppression, domination, exploitation, and violence to millions of animals every day, and then eating it and feeding it to our vulnerable children when it's completely unnecessary? I haven't been to a doctor in 48 years.
Wow.
I haven't been to a drugstore except to buy a few Band-Aids. It's not that, not everybody is going to be like that, but in general, people who eat a organic, whole food, plant-based diet have far lower risk of all the diseases that are filling up the hospitals. And it's just a wonderful thing to have lots of energy, to be healthy, and to
Well, people have
thrive,
always asked me, how do you have so much energy, Bernadette? Because I do.
Right.
I have bounds of energy. Just I just can't shut it down sometimes. And I think it's because I do eat so clean, and I live with so much love in my heart for animals. I really do. After watching the film last night, it was difficult for me to get a few of those images out of my mind. Not that they were that bad. I've seen worse, actually, as a Vanguard member of PETA and Mercy for Animals. And you know what, Diamond? Unless we have to do station identification, I don't think I want to go to break. I'll play more commercials next week or something to make up for it, because I really feel what we're talking about is so important, not just for the animals, but for the earth and what is happening all over the earth. The destruction of our forests, as you said. You said what did you say? Every second, how much is being torn down?
Well, yeah, right now the Amazon is being cut down at the rate of an acre per second, and that's very conservative because actually with the new politics and so forth, it's increasing again, and it's only one reason: it's people taking out their wallets and paying for meat, dairy products, and eggs. Because in order to do that, we have to feed these animals. We have to feed these millions of animals whose flesh we're eating and whose dairy products we're eating and whose eggs we're eating, and they have to eat so much. According to the National Academy of Sciences, for example, and the United Nations, many scientists have studied this. And the inefficiencies at the order of 12 to 15 times. In other words, on a given area of land, you could feed one person eating the standard Western diet or 12 to 15 people eating an organic plant-based diet.
Right.
So this is not just 2 to 1 or 3 to 1. Even that would be terrific. But we're talking about 12 or 15 to 1. So that's an absolute disaster and catastrophe on the one hand. And we have to cut down so many forests and overfish the oceans. But on the other hand, it's wonderful news, because what it's basically saying is that we can radically reduce our environmental footprint as human beings on this planet. As we wake up and move away from eating animal foods, we'll be able to stop cutting down rainforests. And cutting down rainforests isn't just cutting down rainforests. We're in the middle of the largest mass extinction of species in 65 million years.
Wow.
We're losing about 200, according to most scientists, between 100 and 300. Species every day to extinction, again, because we're cutting down rainforests and destroying ocean habitat. And according to the scientists who study the oceans, oceanographers are telling us now that just by the year 2030, commercial fishing in the oceans will be finished because the populations of free wild fish are being destroyed. So already 2/3 of the fish we're eating are factory farmed. And factory farmed fish is the most environmentally devastating thing you can imagine. So the whole idea is to realize that we have a system that's based, unfortunately, on the destruction of our ecosystems in order to maximize profit for a few people, not only for the fast food industry, but for the pharmaceutical industry. It's really like Gandhi said. He said there's enough for everyone's need on this beautiful and abundant earth. There's never going to be enough for everyone's greed. And each one of us as individuals can make an effort to understand this. I don't think this is going to be a change that's going to happen from the top down. This is a movement that has to be a grassroots movement because we're the ones who care. We're the ones who have children. We're the ones who want to have a healthy body and a healthy mind and a healthy society. And so the wonderful thing we're seeing as we travel all over the world, we've been to China, India, Africa, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, Australia, New Zealand, traveling because the World Peace Diet has been translated into so many languages. We get invited all over the world. And it's fantastic to see how all over the world people are realizing, they're waking up, they're saying, okay, it's time to heal my body, time to heal my mind, time to heal my spirit, time to help heal our earth, heal our society. We don't have to have hungry people. We don't have to have workers stabbing animals and impregnating them on rape racks all day. These workers have the highest rates of injury, of drug addiction, alcohol abuse, spousal abuse. We shouldn't force people into work that brings out the worst in them and that causes them to go home and do terrible things. And it's not necessary. Instead of trauma, we can eat joy and love and abundance. Organic plant-based foods are available. We can work on regenerating the soil. And there's nothing stopping us, actually. It's just a matter of, I think, at the grassroots level, people educating each other. And that's what I love what you're doing. It's really a movement of the heart. It's a movement about caring. And every individual can do something.
You're so beautiful. Your mind is so beautiful, and everything that you're saying is so. I'm just so impressed. I'm so touched. I don't know if everyone else here feels that way. Daniel, are you enjoying this?
I am.
I know he's very spiritual as well. And so there's so much I want to talk about. So let me go to this because this was very disturbing in the book that I read. This is in the same chapter, chapter 7, about the sacred feminine. And it talks about how cows, pushing cows to produce. And I'm going to switch to, because each dairy cow is forced to produce far more calves than can be used on the dairy, her calves are immediately slaughtered.